Okay, so now for a bit of a driving portion. Let me just get my GoPro going as well. And, well, first things first, this is a convertible. Everybody's questioning scuttle shake. Is it present? Well, at first, I didn't really see it all that much. But then I got a hardtop for this MX-5 and, well, things got a bit different, haven't they? It's kind of obvious if you think about it. There is some scuttle shake because this roof is not connected to the rest of the bodywork, only down, not up. But if you come from a front-wheel drive hatchback like I have, or a rather more urbane car, a more modest car, you will not notice this fact at all. Acceleration is adequate for 146 horsepower, but having said that, I am kind of disappointed that this car actually weighs 1.1 tons or 1050 kilograms, but anyway, that's dry weight, and if you add the driver and a bit of gasoline, it always exceeds that. Now, why I say that is because, well, that's what an old hatchback from this era weighs. This thing should have weighed 900 to 1,000 kilograms as the standard original MX-5, the NA. And I don't know if you can still hear me, I have to close down the window. I think Mazda went the safe route. They minimized weight where they could, but also they kept things safe. They kept the structure more rigid, and so that they can offer a safe day-to-day driving experience. Other things to note, it still understeers, and that's a good thing. You don't want an oversteer car as your first sports car, and I presume this would be your first sports car, because it was for me as well, because it's cheap and you can afford it. Now, since we're going over some railroad tracks, I can mention that also this is well composed, well put together, and it doesn't really have any issues with bumps or any potholes or other road imperfections. It just works. It's reliable enough, though there are some issues with sagging rear ends or stuff like that, but you must consider that the subframe can bend at any minute, and really that's the cause. The engineering aspect of, well, it's a compromise. Having a convertible also means you give up structural rigidity, and that will not change with a Miata. But I don't know, other than that, there's a pleasant note to the engine, about 4,000 RPM all the way to the red line, which I haven't really touched all that often, but I guess we could try to do that. By the way, this was not a constructive way of doing things, but I will put my seatbelt on. Better late than never. Let me just fix it in place here, and we can go do a few hot takes. So let's. That was red line right there. Again, second and now third. And, well, I'm running out of road where I can do this. So yeah, it's a pretty fast car, but you don't really feel it if you drive it very comfortably, very responsibly. You gotta be a bit of a hooligan to get this thing rolling well. Other things to point out during this driving session, well, there are a lot of things that go through my mind when I'm driving this, but I'm not so eloquent, and I'm not trying to be an automotive journalist right now. I'm just trying to speak to my fellow petrolheads. Okay, so we pick up where we left off, and I don't know when, but my microphone just went a bit, well, it disconnected and went haywire for a second there. But anyway, let's get back to our drive. Starting it up is, well, it's kind of a special moment actually. Well, beyond that sports car red line and that nice acceleration which puts a grin on your face, this thing is old school in the most flattering of ways. This thing drives like a 1960s or 70s car. This thing drives like you would imagine a 1960s or 70s car would drive, without the hustle, without the drama, without the reliability issues. This thing always works and it starts right up. Now, having said that, I had a few issues with it, but I'll get to those later on, and they weren't catastrophical. They were rather I don't know, mood swings of the car. Now, the way this thing feels is actually more important than the way it drives, and I don't know if that makes any sense at all. I have a truck going past me. You should see it right about now. So this thing is, let me just turn on the GoPro as well. So this thing is deliciously tactile. I know it offers bang for your buck performance, but still it's the tactile, the feeling that you get when driving this thing that actually impresses me, and it allows you to consider a different time frame, you know, to just travel to a different period when petrol was more accessible, cars were less restricted, and well, they were a lot more fun, I would say. Slower, but a lot more fun. Now, granted, even I, an unexperienced petrol head, would know that this is not fast. And if you want to make a Miata fast, you really need to invest a lot of money into it. I'm not really prepared to do that for two reasons. First of all, it's the value it has for me as it is, because it's exquisitely evolving at the current pace that I am driving. That's 7,000 RPM. Okay, and I need to slow down. It's exquisitely evolving without having any real drawbacks. I'm not sacrificing reliability, I'm not sacrificing fuel economy, I'm not sacrificing ownership costs. I'm simply enjoying the car. Now this brings me to fuel economy, which is another gripe I have with this car. Surprise, surprise, this one doesn't do well in the city. I sort of figured it would be obvious, but still, in bumper-to-bumper traffic, the worst kind of traffic there is, this thing gets about 18 mpg, or around 13 liters of fuel burned for each 100 kilometers of city driving done, which is not that encouraging, really. It's not horrible, horrific, horrendous by any means, considering this is a sports car, but it's not great either. I would have hoped from a 1.8 liter engine that it would do better, considering this power plant is shared with the Mazda 6 of the period, or at least the one before it, but anyway, you get the idea. Which brings me to my next point, the power plant. It's got, well, it's a blessing and a curse in the same manner. What I mean by that is, it's a lowly simple 1.8 liter gasoline engine, a naturally aspirated one, albeit a 16 valve one, so dual overhead valves, but it's not really that special or impressive. It does have a 7,000 RPM redline, so it's clearly been massaged compared to the standard Mazda 6 version, but it's nothing really that special. no exotic materials, no really fancy gimmicks, no S2000 redline light. Well, no Honda S2000 9000 redline. That's also a blessing, because doing maintenance, replacing the water pump, or doing any type of work on this engine is actually a breeze. It's economical, it's affordable, and it's easy to do. The engine is accessible. The front engine rear-wheel drive setup means that this thing is a breeze to work on, and while the engine bay is rather leisurely set, let's put it that way. You can fit your hands anywhere. Even an aspiring mechanic could do these things, were he inclined to do so, and if he had the time and space to do them as well. So I don't know, that has been a brief incursion into what it is to drive, own, and experience the Mazda MX-5. I know I haven't really touched all the important points, and I might have missed some key pieces of information which I would have liked to share with you, but really that's an ongoing process, and I'll be able to do that later on throughout the course of the following months, since winter is coming in my area, and I will have plenty of time to just edit out clips and do a bit of voiceover work and explain to you how this MX-5 ownership experience has really affected me. Apologize for not using more engaging, more enticing roads. This has been mostly an industrial setting for the car and the video, but that's all I could organize today. Still, I guess it's sort of relevant because I am using the car in this manner most of the time. I am doing some events, but mostly I'm just driving around, cruising, using it for daily errands, which I know is not ideal, but I cannot help myself. I just love the feeling of how this car drives. So anyway, that has been it for me. Sorry about the lighting. It's not the best condition out there. It's not ideal. I guess I will be seeing you later on throughout my videos, and for now I'm just gonna be driving it to the sunset and just give it a few beans.